Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/spookshow. Over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. It's time for our latest spoiler-filled movie review here on
the All-American Spookshow podcast.
We take a deep dive into what makes each movie good or bad. Stick around at the end. Donnie has
connections from the credits,
linking each movie to past episodes. Will gives the official
count.
Professor Smoke gives us
gore score.
And of course, we all give our star ratings. As they say, on with the show. Hello and welcome to yet another edition of the All-American Spook Show Horror Podcast. I'm Josh. I'm joined here with Donnie.
Hey.
And Will.
What's up?
And we're going to be joined by Professor Smoke a little bit later in the show. He's finishing up his assignments for right now, so he isn't able to be here off the top, but we will get him in here at some point or another. But first off, we want to wish you a Happy New Year.
Yes.
Welcome to 2022, and I'm battling bronchitis right now as we speak, so on my end it's going to be a little rough as we go through the program here. I'm going to be I got plenty of fluids here and cough drops, and hopefully I can make it through it without completely losing my voice. But
yeah, unfortunately you'll be sorely
yeah,
whatever.
I already regret it. See, like that fast, I already regret it.
Immediate regret.
So this is episode 89 here on January 3rd, 2022. So we've already began the new year, like we said, and we're going to be watching New Year's Evil from 1980. So this is kind of going to officially kick off our January. It's going to kind of unofficially be Canon month, because this movie was made by Canon Group and distributed by Canon Film Distributors. And later on in the month, we have our Patreon poll winner from December. Every month we give you 3 choices on Patreon. You go there and you vote, and then we will watch one of those movies. Well, that particular one this month won't happen until literally the last day of the month. Episode 93 will be the Patreon poll winner, and those 3 choices were X-Ray, aka Hospital Massacre, Enter the Ninja, and was it 10 to Midnight? I think I completely blanked. I was going to say 3 to Midnight, but that's probably something completely different. So we'll see later on in the month which one the patrons chose for us in the month of December. But the key point is all 3 of those movies are Canon films as well. So is this one. And then in 2 weeks, on January 17th, we're going to be watching Malignant. Now, although that's not a Canon film, it is very Canon-esque. I will say that. So it kind of fits into the motif of what we've got going here. And, of course, next week, episode 90 will be our first ever Spook Show Rewind, where the whole premise of that is we go back literally to episode 1, and we kind of talk about it again. And this gives an opportunity for Donnie to kind of give his 2 cents, his rating, and, the crypt connections, all that stuff that we do now that we didn't do back then. And obviously Donnie wasn't on the show. So next week we're going to be doing the Spook Show Rewind on episode 1, Reanimator. So it'll be a good time revisiting that one again and seeing what Donnie has to think about it. So come back next week for that. But so yeah, like I said, hopefully the professor will join us later on the show so we can get his thoughts here on New Year's Evil, because these older ones always tend to skew his way anyway. So we definitely want his viewpoint on this one. So before we get to the background information and the movie itself and everything, I'll go ahead and toss out the usual information. First and foremost, here in the new year, if this is the first time you've listened to us, we are a spoiler-filled podcast. So if you haven't watched New Year's Evil or any of the other movies in past episodes, don't listen to our episode until you go watch the movie, because if you're ever interested in the movie, we're going to spoil it, totally. But anyways, I'll toss out the usual contact information. You can email us at allamericanspookshow@gmail.com. We're over on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Slasher app, TikTok. You should be able to find us on all those by searching for All American Spook Show. Our Twitter handle is at a Spook Show. We have our YouTube channel where every Wednesday, usually around 9 p.m. East, we do Dead on Horror News Live. It's a live stream with the latest horror headlines and whatever else pops up there. That's every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. East over on our YouTube channel. We have a TeePublic page. where you can get logoed merchandise and other designs that we have over there that helps out the show. And of course, we have our Patreon, patreon.com/AA Spookshow, where you can join starting at $1 all the way up to like this, goofy $1,000 level that probably no one will ever do. But when we throw it out there, we make it available. You never know. The biggest thing there is every Tuesday we have a new video minisode where the main event there is the Library of the Professor, where Smoke will take something from his library, and we'll talk about that. Also, you get early access to episodes. We have those monthly polls, like I said, that will decide a movie that we're going to watch the following month, and a few other things. So go over to patreon.com/AA Spookshow for all that. But for right now, I guess I'll go ahead and toss to the trailer for New Year's Evil.
On the one night they were celebrating New Year's Eve, he was out, ending their life.
I'm going to commit murder at midnight. Call me evil.
Every New Year's Eve, the caller came out.
Please. I'll do anything you want. We can even get it on if you want to. I won't make any kind of fuss.
One terrifying night of unspeakable evil. New Year's Evil.
All right, so there's the trailer for New Year's Evil. So I guess, Donnie, I'll toss to you first. What were your... Well, first off, is this the first time you watched this, and what are your thoughts on it?
This actually was the very first time I watched it. My initial thoughts on it, I probably let's see, it's, I guess total runtime is about an hour and 25 minutes. It lost me probably about an hour into it. So I was just like, all right, this just keep going. But no, my rating is going to reflect that. We'll get into it later, but it does have some redeeming qualities. But
Will, what do you say?
Yeah, definitely the first time I've seen it. This movie, like, interesting for about the first 10 or so minutes to me, and then it just kind of felt like the same thing over and over. He's doing his thing every hour, and then it had like a nice little twist, like 2/3 of the way through. But then the purpose of it's kind of seemed stupid. So I don't know. Like it's a fine movie. It's how about this? It's the best New Year's horror movie I've ever seen.
Ah, there you go. That's a high bar. Smoke, did you just join us?
What's up? Yeah, I don't know if I didn't know if I joined while y'all were actually live recording yet, or if y'all were just
no, we're recording, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I guess I'll go ahead and toss to you. Like, is this the first time you watched the movie, and what were your thoughts either way?
No, not the first time. I didn't see it when it first came out in 1980, but I did sometime back in the late 80s, probably during VHS rental days. Well, you pretty much. I don't know if y'all talked about this, but you pretty much got to like that theme song, or you're going to hate the movie, because 90% of the movie is that theme song. No,
yeah.
Maybe exaggerate a little bit. It's not 90%,
No.
but it does play at least 5 or 6 times.
It's not 90%. It's only 75%.
And then the rest of it is going to be some other new wave type, new wave punk music. So if you don't like any sort of new wave punk music, you're probably going to really hate this movie. And you still might love some new wave funk music and still hate this movie. So
Except for that one random part of blues guitar in the middle of it where they all just kind of they're silently shuffling along, dancing to the music.
You call that dancing? I thought they turned into zombies.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck is going on.
Oh yeah, and speaking of that, I mean, we haven't got into this yet, into the movie, but that it just reminded me when you're talking about dancing like zombies and everything. When there was like a I don't know what you call it, a mosh pit scene during the I guess during the New Year's Eve party when they were supposed to be, the new wave punk band was playing and they're supposed to be sort of in a pogo dancing mosh pit type thing or whatever, and they were like, it was the most polite mosh pit I've ever seen, I guess.
It was an organized mosh pit.
Yeah. There was it's like, oh, did I run into you? I'm sorry.
Oh, my mistake.
It was a very slow mosh pit. But no, the first time I saw it back then, I was I was kind of steeped in the 80s slashers by that time, and it wasn't one that it didn't grab me and like The Burning or The Prowler or Maniac or those types of movies did. It was kind of one of those that I dig the New Year's Eve theme. At least it had a New Year's Eve theme, and we could talk about some other movies that didn't even have, that were called like Bloody New Year, that didn't really have much of a New Year's theme at all. So at least it did live up to its name. It's New Year's Eve. It's a slasher movie that takes place on New Year, so it had that going for it, I guess.
Yeah, you're right about that. Like they didn't shy away from the fact that it is New Year's Day.
Yeah, and it all takes place on New Year's, and New Year's is actually tied into the plot of the movie. So there's that. Now watching it, I've probably only seen it one. No, I probably saw it 2 more times before this time. This is my 3rd time watching it. And it's one of those that I could. What's that?
My condolences.
Yeah. What could be said? There's you could do worse. And when it comes to slasher movies from the 80s, and you could do a lot better.
Yeah.
But and we'll get into all that. But my initial reactions were and my reactions now are, having seen it now a 3rd time, I knew what it was going to be. So it's I don't, we're not getting into ratings and all that stuff yet, but I don't hate it still, but it's certainly not my favorite.
As we hear
as
we hear the tomb doors open in the background there.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. This is the flashback to episode 1 when Will had to sit in the car that episode.
Bong bong bong. Bluetooth not connected. Ding dong. Ding.
That was the least of Will's worries for that night, I think.
Yeah, no shit.
That it was.
Yes.
Donnie, I guess I'll kind of toss to you since my voice is going in and out to kind of give some of the background information as far as, what we normally go through there, if you've got it there.
Yeah, so this was released in December 19th, 1980, rated R. The total running time, as we previously mentioned, is an hour and 25 minutes. It was distributed by Canon Films, as we had alluded to earlier, which we had talked about the Patreon poll of the Canon Films, as well as a future episodes of the Spookshow Spotlight, where we're likely going to do a Canon kind of spotlight on that on Canon Films.
Yeah.
But New Year's Evil out of IMDb, they gave it 4.8 out of 10 stars, and then Rotten Tomatoes was it 14% fresh rating, and then the audience score also mimicked that. It was a 14%.
That's the rare time where both of them just shit all over it. 14% is terrible.
Yeah, well, hard to argue, but at the same time, we'll get into our own ratings. It was filmed in L.A., Los Angeles, California, October 15th, 1980. So they didn't waste any time getting this thing edited, and they probably didn't have to.
I thought that was crazy. Like, basically, this thing came out filmed and came out in theaters in 2 months.
Yeah, roughly. Yeah. That's when they started filming, and then it probably took probably another.
I'd give them at least a couple weeks of filming. I never saw a date of when it ended. That's when it began, but at least a couple weeks.
Yeah, budget was at 500,000. How much? What was the box office on this?
I never saw it. So you would figure probably at least broke even, you would think.
Mm,
But who knows?
Was there a? Well, I know we'll get to the story aspects of it, but was there ever a sequel? This was my first time seeing it, so I don't.
I don't think so. Smokeout. That would. Do you remember seeing anything more of this, or was this it?
No, I don't remember anything coming out as far as a sequel to it of any sort.
I
So
don't think so.
Actually,
All right, coming in 5 days is New Year's. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, New Year's Evil.
actually, no. Something I found was apparently, I guess this was in the 10th issue of Fangoria. There was supposed to be a sequel called Lover's Lane, and it was going to star Wayne Newton. But apparently, apparently
He's
there
dead.
was a scandal going on with Wayne Newton at the time, so it never happened.
Oh, you don't say. Freaking.
Now you get around this time period. There's always like the box office numbers are a little, sometimes you can find some stuff, sometimes you can't. I didn't see what this one made, but the only thing I could find was that same weekend, the top four. Number 4 was Raging Bull. Number 3, The Formula. Number 2, 9 to 5, one of Donnie's favorites.
Yep.
And number 1, one of Smoke's favorites, Any Which Way You Can. So that was the top 4 that particular weekend, just throwing it out there for historical significance.
Mm.
The taglines for this movie, I saw a few, but I'll read them off here just because they're all pretty good in their own ways. This New Year's, you're invited to a killer party. Another one was a celebration of the macabre. And then, of course, on the poster itself, it says, don't dare make New Year's resolutions unless you plan to live.
If nothing else says meh, like those taglines.
Yeah.
Watch this movie.
Yeah, the taglines have better ratings than the. We'll see.
That's the thing. The taglines are supposed to sell you on the movie, not not turn you away.
Do you have anything to do on a Friday night? If not.
Oh, okay. You going to bed early? Okay, cool.
Here's a movie. It was directed by Emmett Alston. He is known for 9 Deaths of the Ninja, Three-Way Weekend. That sounds interesting. And this one, of course, and Demon Warp. He's only got 8 directing credits and 5 writing credits, so that's pretty much his highlights right there. And another favorite of ours, Tiger Shark. He directed that one. His last one that he directed was Little Ninjas in 1993. He's still alive, but apparently just went on to other things because, well, no, he's got a co-writing credit on Adam's Package from 2019. From 2019, so I don't know what the hell he's up to these days, but that's that's the latest thing he's done since like 1993, so I don't know what the fuck this guy does now. But that'll wrap it up for old Emmett Alston. It was written screenplay by Leonard Neubauer, and it's based on a story by Neubauer and Emmett Alston. So those are your two, the director and Neubauer. Neubauer is known for Black Snake, Run for the Hills, A Fugitive from Justice.
Yeah, going to the cast, you have Roz Kelly. She's primarily known as, for this role in New Year's Evil. Also, she played a role in Happy Days. Her IMDb credits date back to, looks like it's 1968. She was a photographer in a Vietnam film. Oh, good Lord.
To be more specific, she was Pinky Tuscadero in Happy Days.
Oh, is that accurate?
Yeah. So that is like a prominent cameo role that kept popping up in Happy Days throughout the years.
Wouldn't know.
Yeah.
Nah, never seen Happy Days.
What?
I am.
Whoa. You're off the podcast.
What do you mean you've never seen it? I can understand someone saying they didn't like it, but you've never seen it? What the fuck?
Is it? No, I've never seen it. I don't know what it is. Well, I guess it's popular, huh?
Yeah. So
How
are the
about the Andy Griffith Show?
So are the Beatles, and you don't like those either. So we got that.
Fuck the Beatles, man.
All right,
Honestly,
see,
fuck the Beatles.
It's
But
unnecessary.
yeah, I don't know. So all right, see you guys. but yeah, apparently those are yeah. So looks well. Okay, yeah, looks like she played the same character role in Blansky's Beauties. Probably a porno role.
I think it must have been like a spinoff of Happy Days. I think.
No, sorry to hear that.
Porno.
I don't know. She also played Flaps in Curse the Black Widow.
I tell you what, they had a way about them, like naming characters in the 70s, man, and the 80s too, but like Flaps and Pinky.
Oh, piss flaps.
What the
Sorry,
hell,
let
man?
me stop. Oh man. All right, moving on. Moving on to
what we got out of Donnie so far was hasn't seen fuck the Beatles and piss flaps.
Piss flaps. Oh man. But yeah, I guess the main character role of I guess Mr. Evil or whatever, Kip Niven. He let's see, his IMDb spans 93 credits, going all the way back to 1968 as well, where he was in One Life to Live, and he sadly passed away in 2019. But he is primarily known for New Year's Evil. He was also in Magnum Force with Clint Eastwood. Nice. He was also in Airport 1975 and Earthquake the movie.
Those 70s like disaster flicks are fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I do recall
Tower
that.
Inferno, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, Avalanche, where there's barely a fucking avalanche. Good stuff.
But also kind of playing the lieutenant in I say lieutenant, detective, or whatever you call him. Yeah. Actor Chris Wallace. He's primarily known for the Blue Healers, the Slap, the Incredible Hulk. The Incredible Hulk.
The Slap.
The Slap. Apparently there was this. I don't know if it's a movie or a show. I guess it's a TV series. Looks like it only lasted maybe 5 episodes.
Yeah,
called The Slap.
I just looked at it. It looks like it was a mini series.
Yeah. And then he was also in The Incredible Hulk and a movie called Dead End. But his IMDb credits span back to 1976. He was in a TV series called The Edge of Night. And he's also done some softcore soap operas.
Softcore soap operas.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'd say more importantly, past that, you should mention the producers there. Golan and Globus. That was Canon Films. Those guys.
Yeah.
Which we'll get deeper into those guys here in a couple weeks when we do the Spookshow Spotlight on Canon. But it's worth mentioning here now, that they were the 2 main producers on this film.
Yeah, I did no research on this. Don't have any.
This is completely random, but I'm on IMDb following along, and the girl that played Lisa, in the car scene, was the tag along on the third wheel that sat in the car and barely had a line. Usually, whenever you see anybody on IMDb, it's got like a nice shot of them. Whether it's like a face shot or something from a movie. Well, it's something from a movie, all right. It's her standing outside the liquor store, except she is tiny, and the thing that draws your eye is liquor. It's like her walking out with the car gone.
That's
something I was actually reading about the locations. That Golden Arrow liquor store that they used for that film is actually it's a Walgreens now, of course, as it typically would be.
I think they actually sell liquor in some Walgreens and CVS and stuff in some places, don't they?
Yeah, I believe in Connecticut they do.
Yeah, certain states, yeah.
Yeah, but whatever.
That reminds me when the cops show up and at that liquor store, and then they open up the dumpster, and the cat jumps out. Yeah. They just had to get that one in, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like we could probably do an entire spotlight on how many '80s slasher movies had a jump scare of a cat jumping out of somewhere.
The fucking cat. I think we did that in the very first episode with Reanimator, right? Wasn't there a bunch of like,
yeah,
the damn cat?
Yep.
Now that cat
Most
turned into that one turned into the Incredible Hulk, though.
Yeah.
See, I mean, like, did you guys have anything else as far as the background stuff was concerned? Any trivia or little news and nuggets before we get into the movie itself?
I would say the only thing that I found is that the actor that played Derek was Grant Kramer. He was in. We had actually mentioned Willy's Wonderland on the Year in Review show.
Mm-hmm.
He was one of the producers for Willy's Wonderland.
Huh. That's a strange pull, but
yeah, right.
I've still struggled to figure out what the fuck really was his role in this movie. Like, what the hell was that?
I don't know. It's just like he was.
There was really no reason. Well, I guess we'll get to it in a minute, but
I guess maybe if they were trying to set up a sequel.
Yeah, I guess.
But
any more than Silent Night, Deadly Night, I guess. But
it's intermission time. Time to pause and refresh at the snack bar. During this short break, you can treat your taste to good food and sparkling cold beverages, including delicious Coca-Cola. If you're hot dog hungry, we have them. Sizzling, juicy hot dogs served in warm, oven-fresh buns. Plus a complete menu of all your favorites. Visit the Refreshment Center now. Enjoy delicious food and ice-cold Coca-Cola.
For you, the listeners of the All-American Spook Show podcast, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a free 30-day trial to give you the opportunity to check out the service. So I just went and typed in New Year's Evil to see if anything would come up, and one thing actually came up. New Year's Evil by Sidney Williams and Michael August, narrated by Maxwell Glick. That sounds fake as hell. Length is 5 hours and 47 minutes long, and honestly, this looks like a romantic book or something. I don't know what this is, but as far as genre is concerned, well, no, it's horror. So, and I just clicked on it, and it doesn't look like it has really anything to do with the movie New Year's Evil. It's just its own separate New Year's Evil story. It's a horror book. So yeah, if that sounds interesting enough to you to use your credit on, you can go download it by to get your free audiobook by going to audibletrial.com/spookshow. Again, that's audibletrial.com/spookshow for your free audio book. So if you want to waste it on, use it on New Year's Evil, there's your option. So I guess we'll go ahead and get into the movie itself here. So the movie starts off like basically you get the whole premise that Diane is this punk rock television host named Blaze, and she's getting ready for this big New Year's Eve show that she's having, where it's like a countdown show. Where I guess it's a countdown to midnight kind of thing, but like I guess there's musical performances from this band up on the stage, and maybe they tossed the music videos or something. I'm not, they don't explain the whole setup, but you get the point. And so she's getting ready for this, and then her assistant or her friend Yvonne, who looks mysteriously like the chick from Demons. Did anybody else pick up on that? Like one of the prostitutes from
Yeah.
The prostitutes from Demons. She looks a little like her. But anyways,
the very first one that gets demonized, right? The one that puts the mask.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she puts the mask on and gets scratched on her face, and then goes full demon. Yep. Yeah, that one. She looks kind of like her, but anyways, it just must be the hair. It looks similar, so it just kind of brought it to mind. But anyway, somebody grabbed the water keeps leaking in the shower, so she keeps like reaching her hand in there to fix the faucet, and then somebody grabs a hold of her and stabs her. So there's your first kill, and then you get the credits. Now this is the first taste, I believe, of the hit song New Year's Evil by Shadow. That is very predominant, to say the least, in this movie, but I think this is the first time you hear it during the credits, right? And then
Yep.
I'll point out, like, you only go, what, maybe 10 minutes into the movie, and here's a full-on fucking performance of the song. So, like, within the first 10 or 15 minutes, you've heard this song pretty much in full twice.
He heard the whole thing all the way through.
Yeah, it's not just like, a minute and a half of it. It's like, here's the whole song twice, right out the gates.
Yeah, right. And right after having a kill that was very bloodless, unfortunately, that first kill should,
Yeah, frankly.
It's fine that you should at least start off, if you're going to have a kill off the top, make it something very memorable,
Yeah.
But that was pretty weak, though, going to the song. That's right.
The only thing that made it memorable to me was the fact that she looked like the chick from Demons. So,
yeah.
And Demons came out years after this, so yeah, even back then I wouldn't have had that frame of reference, so it would have been forgettable.
By the way, I looked it up. It's not her.
Yeah, just very similar, look, I guess because of the hair, with the beads in her hair and stuff like that. But yeah, I figured it wasn't her. I didn't go the extra mile to look it up, but yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
It's not that this show was the Demons episode, but I remember that actress, and I can't remember what her name, but I remember her first and last name were the same, right, Willis?
The lady
Doretta.
from...
Well, I'm looking at the girl that was in this one. Her name is Alicia Danafu.
Yeah, the one from Demons had two same names. I mean, I don't know. That's probably not her given legal name, but for whatever reason, her first and last name was the same. And I want to say it's Doretta or something like that.
Which I guess it's worth taking a little sidebar on this fucking song, right? Like this song by the band Shadow. This was made for this movie, so I guess that's why you get such a heavy dose of it.
Yeah, they're proud of that one.
Yeah, no doubt. It says it was written by Roxanne Seaman and Eddie Del Barrio, and they wanted it to be played. They wanted it to be like an original tune to be played by the punk band in the movie. So apparently, they actually sent out requests to several writers to get this song written, and then I guess they submitted theirs, and that was the one that was selected. So it's become its own thing within itself too. Like there's actually a small cult following just for that damn song, because apparently I guess it was supposed to be like an album that was released, and from what I can tell, I guess it was never really released. Like they said that it was going to be released, and then it just never was released until finally, eventually, just within the last handful of years, they finally released it, because it was just back, from what I can tell, in March of 2020 that MGM released a song on digital streaming platforms. So you can go on Spotify, at least that I saw it, and you can go pull this song up and listen to it. The single.
You can put it on loop even if you want to.
Yeah.
Like a movie.
I guess if you just wanted to drive yourself insane on New Year's Eve, you could just put this on a nonstop loop.
It might send you to a sanitarium.
Yeah.
They might. Where some guy will smash a Santa Claus on a tricycle in front. Oh.
Crawford Sanitarium, to be exact. Yeah, so I just thought that was kind of an interesting little sidebar. This song kind of took on its own life of its own, really. But they shove it so far up your ass, it's a catchy enough tune to where I could see where, it will become a thing, right? Because you hear it so much, and it's catchy enough. So, but anyways, back to the movie. So you hear that during the credits, and then you're introduced to her son, Derek, Diane, Blaze, or whatever, her son, Derek. And you can tell he's instantly kind of there's something weird about him, but, he's kind of down in the shits because his mom kind of ignores him because she's got her career going on. Then, as she's hosting the show, this guy who calls himself Evil calls in and says he's basically, to summarize, he's going to murder somebody close to her at midnight, I guess every hour. So East Coast midnight, Central Time, you get one
times.
Of them, leading all the way up to West Coast at midnight. And then this is when you get the full performance of New Year's Evil by Shadow up on the stage. Then you cut to the old Crawford Sanitarium there, and Evil walks in and he poses as a nurse. I guess he's like a male nurse or something, right? Or a doctor, where he kind of gets the outfit on and comes into the place and poses as let's just say he's a male nurse. And instantly kind of makes himself, gets himself in on the inside of this place. Then you're introduced to Lieutenant Clayton, who, they call the cops, and he comes to help Diane, assess the threat and everything, figure out what's going on here. And then that's right after that's when you get the all the the punkers that were just dancing and having a mosh pit. Now all of a sudden they're slow jamming and shuffling along the blues guitar. There's that scene. Then you cut to Derek, who's just acting really fucking weird, and he just decides to take like a handful of pills. Then you see Evil there at the sanitarium. Easily is able to have sex with this nurse, who he introduces himself to, and then like pulls out a bottle of champagne, and then they're instantly having sex, and then right at the stroke of midnight he stabs her. So there's and as he's doing it, he hits like record on the tape deck, so he can record it while he's doing it. So that's his proof that he just killed somebody. And then he calls Blaze.
Stroke of midnight.
I love the voice changing thing too with the tube.
Yeah. Yeah, this whole movie not the whole movie, but those aspects of the voice, the killer calling on the on the phone and voice changing, and the slasher murder reminds me of another movie that we have to get to at some point on the show. I don't know if you saw this Lucio Fulci movie, Josh, called New York Ripper.
No, I've heard of it, but no, I've never watched it.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, we have to get to that one at some point, because it's I don't even want to. I'm not even going to say what the killer's voice sounds like over the phone, because it's just a ridiculous thing that you need to wait until you hear it in the movie. But this movie kind of reminded me a little bit of that, just because of the whole voice changing ridiculousness.
Yeah, he's got the tube in there, like changes his voice, and he sounds like Mr. Bean. When Mr. Bean actually talks. It's me, evil. But he calls Blaze to tell her that, that he is killed, and then another nurse comes in and finds her dead. Then you come back to Derek, her son, is still acting weird in the room over there. He puts a stocking on his head, and then sticks a pin, like a safety pin, through his ear. I don't know what the fuck's going on with this guy.
Don't make any damn sense.
As he's doing this with a stocking, he says, "They think I'm crazy," or something like that. And he puts the stocking on his head, and then he said something like, "Well, are they right? Or are they?" Well, yeah, they're fucking right.
Yeah. As just evidenced by what you did, you fucking weirdo. I guess it's just to show the slow, descent into madness that her son is experiencing. I don't know what the hell's going on with him. Because at first you'd be like, well, maybe they're trying to think, maybe they're framing it in a way that maybe he's the killer or that he has something to do with it. But as you go further along, you realize he's really got nothing to fucking do with it other than the fact that, that's his parents, right?
Yeah.
He's really not taking part in this, and none of that shit has a payoff other than the very end that we'll get to in a minute. So, I don't know what the fuck his deal is.
Well, I mean, I guess the whole connection with him is just the fact that it sounds like him and his dad are in cahoots to try to pull this off.
Well, you don't know as you go along through the movie here, and spoilers. We'll get to it in a second, but you don't know who this guy is, right? He just says he's evil. You don't know who he is, right? You don't know that that's the twist or the plot twist toward the end, right? You don't know who he is. So, they set it up like, well, maybe he's got something to do with it, like you said, but, I don't know. There's just no payoff to it. I guess maybe, maybe we should set it up this way just in case we want to go that direction, but then when they decided to go in a slightly different direction, he kind of had something to do with it, but not really.
I was sitting there watching, I was like, what would be kind of like a cool twist is this is a year ago, and now this is her son this year, some kind of twist like that, because they chose two actors that look a lot alike to be father and son in this movie.
Yeah. But anyways, Lieutenant Clayton comes along and he confirms that they did find a body at the sanitarium. So now Evil, he's still out, doing mischief. He puts a mustache disguise on, and then he just finds two ladies in a bar, and they easily go along with him.
Oh yeah, but before you think that first theme song is terrible or whatever, it gets stuck. I mean, it's catchy, but you hear it a bunch of times. It could be worse, like this scene when they have that really generic disco music playing in that club he's in. And he's got the fake thing on, picking up the girls, and And then after that, I think after he picks up the girls, right, it cuts to one of the girls he picks up is this blonde girl, and she's obviously ditzy.
Mm-hmm.
And they cut to one of the punk bands at the New Year's show playing a song called "Dumb Blondes." I think it was.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a nice little cut there for sure.
You were the exact type of girl I expected to meet there.
Yeah. Dumb and blonde, you dummy. But he's got them both in the car, and then he stops at the liquor store. Like, by the way, the whole time she's in the car, she's just annoying the shit out of him. Just talk. He's even looking at her like it's almost a little bit of comedy relief, right? But they stop at a liquor store, and he makes the other chick go in and get buy the biggest bottle of champagne or whatever the fuck. And then he just goes over there and just chokes the shit out of her, the first lady, with a weed bag. So he's like, "Hey, you want to smoke some weed? Look down here in the bag," and then puts the bag over her head. And then
with no weed in it.
Well, no, there was some weed in it. There was.
Was?
Yeah, like when you see it go up, you can see there is something in there. But the thing is, though, why did he put the bag on her head? Because he didn't really use the bag to snuff her out. He just put the bag over her head and then choked her to death. So, like, why use the fucking bag? Yeah, like
the old weed bag trick.
Yeah. Look at this. Check out this weed. Huh? Choke. But then the other lady comes out, and she walks down the alleyway because she doesn't see anybody. And then he attacks her from the dumpster. But it is a cool little thing where it's like she looks down in the dumpster, and then he flicks the lighter on, and he's just, boo, with the mustache. That was, then the cops come along, and then the cat jumps out of the dumpster or whatever. But then as the cops, like after the little dumpster thing with the cat, they go over like this little, I guess it's like somebody's backyard or a little park or something nearby, and they find the first one, like the first lady, who's dead, like been choked out or whatever. She's hanging on a swing, or like, what do they call those? Like the little round, not monkey bars, but like the little chains that have like the round hoops on the end of them. She's kind of just hung up on that. And then the other lady just, right at that moment, comes down the slide dead. Very well-timed death slide there, right?
Yeah.
So then Evil gets away, and he's done changed into another outfit here. He's dressed like a priest, and he comes up on this motorcycle gang, and he hits them in his car, and then they just chase him like, "Hey, motherfucker," so they're chasing him, and they end up at the Van Nuys Drive-In, there's a big sign outside that says the New Year's Spookathon, 8 horror films, Dust to Dawn. This would have been awesome. Like if this, I'd love to go do something like that, right? Like go to the drive-in and have, Dust to Dawn, Spookathon or whatever. But
so I was just reminiscing that they need to do that shit again.
Yeah,
these days.
Those were the days. But as he's in there, you can see on the screen, there's like a trailer or something for like a double feature that's about to play for Bloodbath and Blood Feast. I saw a note about that though, that like when you see that playing on the screen, it's not really, that's not even that Blood Feast.
Yeah.
That they're referring to.
Yeah.
It's a different one.
It's the Red Queen kills 7 times. From
which is the Italian giallo film.
So that's what you're actually seeing on the screen, but it sounds like it's a trailer for Bloodbath, Blood Feast, right? So yeah, this is playing in the background as the motorcycle gang is like looking for him in there as he's hiding. Then eventually he comes out of the car, runs across. One of the bikers like confronts him and he stabs him. Then he steals another car with a woman still in the back, because this guy and this girl were making out, about to have sex, and then he jumps in the car and throws the guy out, but she's still in the back. Eventually he stops on the side of the road. She runs. The cops show up at the same time, and then basically as he's about to like kill her, she's hiding up underneath this building or whatever. The cops run up, so he just runs off. So she survives.
I mean, you skipped over one of the best lines in any movie ever.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Sir, I don't have any money. Oh God, I'll give you this and whatever's in my purse. I mean, we could even screw around if you want to. I won't put up no fuss.
How did she word it? She said a very early '80s thing for like having sex. It was.
Yeah, just like get it on.
Yeah.
Get it on if you want.
Yeah.
We can do the deed if you want to.
I mean, look, I was sitting here ready to go, so I mean,
Oh, yeah. I'm already halfway there, so, you know, it's the female equivalent to blue balls if you want to finish. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, come on. Are you going to do this without doing that? Come on. Come back.
Come on.
you got a bad case of the blue ovaries.
Blue ovaries. The shit.
Ugh.
So, back at the old, New Year's countdown at the hotel or whatever, the cops seal it up. So, like, they're not going to let anybody leave or come in at this point. Because now they just assume that evil is on his way. Which really, that sentence sounds a lot cooler than it is in this movie. Like, evil is on its way, but, you know, has a different frame of reference in New Year's Evil. So he shows up. He calls like a cop over, like, "Hey, over here!" And then the dude walks around the corner and he hits him with a brick. And then he takes off the cop's uniform, puts it on, and then he's just able to walk right into the hotel.
Yeah. Not only that, but like, you know, that cop was a little bigger than what that uniform.
I don't know what you're talking about. It still fit him perfectly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those like Back to the Future Part 2 type outfits where you can hit the button and it, is
auto laced.
Yeah.
Also,
what would you think even better is if you'd have just been walking around with the sleeves dangling and the pants legs over his shoes. Nobody would have noticed.
Was it like a normal thing for cops in the early '80s to walk around with boom boxes?
Yeah.
Right. And the other cop just looked at him and he was like, "Well, okay."
That looks about right.
All right.
Well, who am I to question? 1980, man. That's all. That's where we'll say that there. Derek, once again, he pops back up and he has another like little wham wham moment with his mom, and then he leaves the room, and all of a sudden her husband, Richard, shows up, and I guess this is one of the lamest reveals ever. As, oh, by the way, Richard is evil. Like, if you didn't know it up to this point, you'd just be like, who is this guy? Like they didn't shy away from hiding his face. And then all of a sudden, he shows back up and, oh, Richard, where have you been? I thought you were, out partying or whatever the fuck you're doing. No, just been around killing people. But, so there's your big reveal right there, kind of nonchalantly. Oh, yeah, by the way, Richard is the dude that's been doing all this. But he puts on this Laurel and Hardy mask. Isn't that what we established what it was Laurel and Hardy, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Whichever one is Laurel and Hardy, I can't remember. But, the guy with the long face and the big nose, like, he's got this mask on and he scares her with it. And then, basically at the same time, like, in a cutscene over in another room in the hotel, the cops put it together that Richard is the one that's been doing this. Like, wait a minute, we got the license plate, this, that, connecting it to the motorcycle gang. Holy shit, he's the one. So then he rigs up the elevator to make it, I guess where he can control the speed or whatever, it drops, rises, whatever. While Diane and one of the cops is in the elevator, he makes the elevator drop. Now, this is weird, like the elevator drops and Diane and the cop just fall to the floor, but they basically kind of pass out. Like, I've never been in a falling elevator, but I don't know if like I make it to the bottom, but I'm okay. Like it didn't, you know what I mean? Like it dropped, but it didn't drop all the way to the bottom. He just made it stop, and then they just fall out on the floor like, and then the doors open, and he just kicks the fucking cop right in the face, and knocks him. So that would knock you out. The elevator, I'm not sure, but get kicked in the face, that'll do it. And then basically he reveals to Diane right there in the elevator that he's evil, the guy that's been calling and committing all these murders and everything. So she's just like, what the fuck, why? Well, basically, you didn't pay me enough attention, and you emasculated me because you made more money than I did, right? I mean, that's his motivation, pretty much, right?
Yeah. Well, that and the son.
Well, that she didn't treat him with enough.
She's treating the son the same way,
yeah.
And the son had gotten the big movie part, and she wouldn't give him the time of day to let him even talk about it.
So that's why he killed everybody. And now Well, I'll ask
Well,
this.
that and he's criminally insane.
Literally, because that was part of the revelation, right? Is that he once was at Crawford Sanitarium, right?
By the way, this dude who is insane, been in a sanitarium, knows a lot of things. Really good costume design, how to work an elevator.
How to bypass an elevator's like switches and systems and everything. He's a clever nut. But basically, that's his motivation. Like, I don't want to be treated like shit. Give me more of an allowance, you know. So that's just why he's been killing everybody. But then he chains her to the bottom of the elevator, like, you know, in the elevator shaft, and then starts to send it down. Meanwhile, like, this hotel, what is it? Maybe 15 stories. Like, it seems like it takes forever for this thing.
Yeah,
to
it's something like that.
Wherever the fuck they're at towards the bottom, but the cops arrive just in time to have like a shootout with them. And as they're having the shootout, I guess that kind of shorts the elevator out by accident, basically, and stops the elevator from killing Diane. So Richard, running from the cops, runs up to the roof, puts on that Laurel and Hardy mask. He says some crazy shit. I can't even remember what he says. Some quote from a movie or some shit, right? And
evil die.
God wept.
Yeah, Jesus wept. And then and then all of a sudden, Pinhead shows up and pulls them apart. No, he just fucking puts on this mask, says some stupidity, and then jumps off the roof. So now he's dead. Derek shows up, you know, to his dad's corpse there on the ground and takes the mask off, which, you know, in a fucking crime scene, you would easily be able to do, right? Like, you'd be able to just walk up, take the mask, look around, and walk away.
It was the 80s, man.
Yeah, 1980, huh? So then they're putting Diane, she's still alive, but they're putting her in the ambulance, and they're back there, you know, like, working on her or whatever, and then it pans up to the front, and apparently he has killed the ambulance driver, Derek, and he's wearing that fucking mask, and he looks at the camera. New Year's Evil by Shadow plays yet again. Credits. So there we have it. New Year's Evil from 1980. A good way to start off 2022, right? I guess, Donnie, we'll start with you. What's your star rating? What are your thoughts on the movie, man?
Oh man, you know it's like Smoke said. You know, you could do better, you could do worse, but I'm right around. It had me. It lost me probably about an hour into it. Now I'm just like, okay, when is this over? I'm about a star and a quarter. You know, you could do worse, but you could do a lot better.
Will, where you at?
Yeah, I'm gonna sit at about a star and a half. You know, roughly the same area. I mean, you know, we've done plenty of movies where it's like, how did this movie get made and then put out? You know, this is horrible. This movie was put together. It's fine. There's nothing necessarily wrong with it. It just, to me, like, nothing never was really there. You know, it didn't hold me for the beginning, middle, or end.
All right, Smoke, what do you got?
Yeah, like I was saying, it as Donnie reiterated too. You could do a lot better, you could do a lot worse. But I'm a little bit more forgiving when it comes to 80s slasher movies, I guess. I'll just spit it out there. What my rating is, real quick, is I give it 2 1/4. And again, that's just because of my preference for, like I said, being more forgiving for some of these 80s horror movies. But no, 2 1/4 for me when it comes to slasher movies is in that interim thing. Like I said, you could do worse, like Home Sweet Home. I mean, you could do much worse like that. And you could do even just a little bit better, like certain well, I don't know how many slasher films we've gotten to that kind of in the middling, sort of middle ground slasher movies, but you could definitely do better, like The Prowler, or the other one I mentioned, The Burning. That's an excellent one. Just Before Dawn. Hell, like, you can keep going with ones that are better than this, but there's still something that'll bring me back to it occasionally. This is the third time I've watched it, so give it another few years, maybe I'll pull it out and watch it again. But it's definitely not one that I could watch over and over again. But yeah, I'm going to go with 2 1/4.
I'm going to land somewhere in the same range. I'm going to go 2, just because I think that's about where it falls on my scale. I didn't necessarily love it. Didn't necessarily hate it either. I don't hate it. There's a lot to be enjoyed here. You know, the song is catchy. You know, they cram it up your ass, but you know, it's going to be stuck in your head for a while after you watch it. So There's that. The credits, man. The credits are pretty good.
I was glad when it was over.
Yeah. Those ending credits were even better. No, I mean I enjoyed it. Like you said, it's of the time period for sure. It's definitely very 1980. Considering what we learned earlier, that it was basically filmed about 2 months before it came out. I think it's pretty well put together considering that. Although there are still a lot of like things that they left hanging out there. I'm not even going to say plot holes as much as like we're going to establish something and then never really explain it. Like the stuff with the kid, the son Derek. I guess they explained it enough to say, well, he was neglected. So that's still not an explanation enough to, put pantyhose on your head and stick a fucking pin through your ear or something like that. But
it puts the lotion on its skin.
Yeah, like that's not enough to make you go fucking crazy. But who am I, right? Like I guess everybody reacts to shit differently. The one thing that stuck out to me that I wanted to talk about just briefly was he mentions that like I'm gonna kill somebody at the stroke of midnight, East Coast, Central, blah blah blah, right? And he says something like someone close to you, but they never explain what the relationship was with these people. Like you get Yvonne at the beginning, right? Like she's like her assistant or her friend or whatever. Although I'm not sure if that one was one of the stroke of midnight kills or whatever. But that's just the first one at the beginning. But then he kills the nurse at the sanitarium. What's the connection there? Just the fact that he was at a sanitarium? If that's the case, then why would that be close to her? What does that nurse have to do with her? They never explained it. The ditzy blonde or whatever and the other chick that he kills the next time. What's the connection of them to her? There was no explanation there. Maybe
I think it's just a collection of murders leading up to somebody close to her at midnight where she is at.
No, he said it's going to be, the way I understood it was going to be somebody close to you every hour, ending with you. Right? Like you're the one at the stroke of midnight West Coast. So he kills the two, the blonde chick, right? And the two girls from the bar. He kills the nurse, and then I guess Yvonne must have been the first one, right? And that one makes sense, but the other two don't make sense, or at least they don't explain it, or maybe there's some director's cut or something they left out that explains it more like who they were. Not that it's that big a deal, but my point is you don't set something up and never pay it off. The setup was like each one of these persons that die are supposed to be close to you. Like, well, explain that to me. Why was that nurse close to her? I'm thinking like, oh shit, that's her sister or something like that. Then when they find out like, oh God, somebody got killed. Oh, that's terrible. So we need to lock this place down so this nut didn't come kill me. Like they never explain the connection. I just thought that was random, but whatever. But I enjoyed the movie for what it was, even though it had a lot of explaining to do in certain ways. But I think the payoff was a little weak. So I mean, honestly, if the payoff was a little better, I probably would have gave it a slightly higher score. But hey, this is what we do here, right? We watch these kind of movies and give our grades on them. So here we are. All right, Donnie. So for the first segment, I guess I'll go ahead and toss to you.
Connections from the crypt.
Yeah, it always gets me. With Crypt Connections, we take the current episode and we try to link it to a past episode with either cast or crew. The only connection I could find in this for New Year's Evil was John Green, one of the cast members. He played a coach in Never Too Young to Die, which was, I believe, it was our episode number 24 or something like that. But yeah, that was the only connection I could find.
Interesting. I don't think we've had too many pulls from Never Too Young to Die, other than Gene Simmons. To just about anything else.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Other than that.
All right. So Will, I'll go ahead and toss to you.
Kill. Count.
So I ended up with 7. You got Yvonne and Nurse Jane, who both got stabbed early in the movie. Sally, who got suffocated. Lisa, who got stabbed
via weed bag.
The biker, who got stabbed in the stomach. Richard, who jumped off the top of the building. And although we didn't see it, we did see the remnants of the ambulance driver. Okay. At the very end as it drives off.
The only possible debatable one was the motorcycle, the biker. I'm not sure if he died or not, but, either way, right?
It's a movie. He died.
We'll go with it. Fuck it. All right, so Smoke, that leaves us. This leaves it all up to you now.
Gore score.
Oh, yeah, well, unfortunately, as I was talking about off the top, that first kill, where it was pretty bloodless, a good portion of the movie is that way, too. I mean, which is not a good thing when you got a slasher movie, I don't think. From the 80s, I think needs to have, none of them are going to have a great, fantastic storyline to begin with. So at least you could have some good splattery kills to offset that. And unfortunately, we didn't really get too much of that. There was a few, but none of them were. I mean, the one kill with the switchblade might have been the second kill. The first one at the stroke of midnight or whatever. Mm-hmm. I do remember that was it wasn't all particularly bloody because you don't really see you see the knife going up in the air, but every time he would come down with the knife, they would cut to the New Year's party and there'd be like a party favor going off, like the mouth. Yeah. and I don't remember how many times he stabbed, maybe 4 or 5 times, but every time was going down with the knife, it was like a party favor sound or something. I thought that was pretty ridiculous. It was humorous at least, anyways. But and then he'd come back up and there'd be a little bit of blood on the knife or a little bit more blood the next time, but nothing particularly gory or graphic about it. So, and pretty much most of the kills were that way. You'd see some of the aftermath, like the body would pop out, and you'd see the throat had been split, but it was aftermath stuff.
Yeah, right. It was pretty bloodless, to be honest with you, for the most part.
Yeah. So now it's just a matter of me deciding between a 3 and a 4, and I think I'll go with it was violent to a degree, so I think find that error on the end of 4, I guess. We'll go with a 4. And like I said, it's a mild 4, but it was there. I mean, there was switchblade kills, but not necessarily. You're not going to see Tom Savini style effects where you see the actual stabbing or anything like that, or blood bags and whatnot. So
we've had the beginnings of a run here with it being kind of mild, because the last movie review we did was the Ginger Dead Man, and you only gave that one 3. So I'd put it about the same, give or take. Maybe a little more.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? While I was trying to think about this and talking about it, I was pulling out the Deep Red Horror Handbook from Chaz Balin because I hadn't even looked it up on this yet.
Okay.
So, and I got to it. I wasn't even sure if he did this one or not, but he did, and he gave it a 4.
Oh, there you go.
So I was pretty good. I was pretty good at guesstimating what it is.
Yeah. You've gotten really good at what Chaz said.
Yeah. So it's a fairly bloodless 4, but since it's there. It's just not, not what you want to see for those of us who love slasher films. You don't get that expectation out in this movie. And I don't know if it's because of, I don't know why they were squeamish about the gore. Maybe the special effects makeup artist wasn't up to up to being able to do those types of effects.
Yeah, for my when I was doing the Crypt Connections kind of. Just looking at it, there was only one makeup artist. That was it.
So they must.
I had to look it up too. It was Julie Purcell, who worked on some other movies, including Cujo. So I mean, I don't.
Yeah. I mean,
maybe it just wasn't in the script. Maybe they didn't want to go that route. I mean, it is pretty early on in the slasher. I mean,
could have also not been in the budget.
Or it couldn't. Yeah. Or it might have been just in the time restraints because, like we said, they flipped this thing around pretty fucking quick. So.
Also, the way this was shot, I mean, I think it may have been honestly just a artistic way of doing it. Like you had talked about with the party favors shooting off every time they stab. And I remember there was the suffocation scene where like the guy had the hazard lights on, and to me it almost sent like a heartbeat. Every time it flashed, and then when she was dead, the hazards went off.
Yeah. True. So yeah, they might have been trying to like just not go that route with the extreme graphic violence and just being artistic with it or humorous or whatever. But yeah.
But I guess so. There you go. Cumulatively, we all came together and give it a rating of 1.75. So that's 1 3/4 stars. You know, if you add them all up together and average it out. So I guess in general, we would recommend you going out and watching it at least once. You know, see it for yourself, especially if you're a fan of like early '80s slasher flicks. But it's probably not one you're gonna love. You know, like to watch on repeat. You know, unless this is just the kind of stuff you like, right? So,
if you've got some stuff to do around the house, like folding clothes, painting a wall,
watching the paint dry after you painted it, you know,
putting a fan on low and watching it dry as slowly as possible. This is the movie for you. No, I mean, you know, like I said, it is what it is. It's worth checking out once. So, there you have it, New Year's Evil from 1980. So, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Before we get out, and I came into the show a little bit late. I didn't come in off the top, so I'm not sure if y'all mentioned. Did y'all mention the date this movie came out on?
Yeah,
December 19th, 1980.
So, I was looking at that too, but I had Googled the movie to go to see some other trivia just outside of IMDb to see. IMDb has it listed as the 19th, but everywhere else I saw listed the movie as December 26th, and what is today that we're recording this, but December 26th. So that's a weird synchronicity that's happened a few times before, or more than a few times, I think.
That is odd. Maybe.
So I don't know. Right. I don't know if it's the 19th or 26th. All I know is that every other source that I saw for this movie, well, once I saw it once, I looked up at some more just to see if that was the case. And every other place listed December 26th for some reason was the USD.
It could have been one of those things where maybe it was released on the 19th in Chicago, New York, LA, something like that.
Maybe a limited release, limited early release.
Although, like I said, I couldn't find any box office numbers on it, so I don't know if it ever got a truly quote-unquote wide release or not. But either way, yeah, I mean, you're talking the difference of a week, right? So either way.
Yeah, I thought that was weird that we've done that. I don't know how many times.
Oh yeah, it's
more than a handful of times that we've gone to record a show or release the show. Well, usually we record the show.
Yeah.
And end up finding out later that it was like on the same day or within a couple of days.
I mean, we do put a little bit of legwork into like, all right, well, it's New Year's, so let's do a New Year's movie, that kind of thing. But we don't get into the minutia of dates and anniversaries and stuff. We always end up tripping on those by accident. So yeah, we're not that smart. So we're not that clever. So there you go. All right, so I guess that'll close the book on New Year's Evil. So I think it's a great beginning to the year. But like I mentioned earlier, next week we're going to do our first Spook Show Rewind episode where we go all the way back to episode 1 and we give Donnie a chance to talk about Reanimator. So come back next week for that. That's going to be a good time to kind of revisit that one, and that's obviously one of our favorites. But then in 2 weeks, we're going to be coming back and doing our next movie review, and that's episode 91, where we're going to be talking Malignant from 2021. So that'll actually be the 4th movie from 2021 that we've watched. So I'll give you the brief IMDb synopsis on that one. Madison is paralyzed by shocking visions of grisly murders, and her torment worsens as she discovers that these waking dreams are in fact terrifying realities. Boy, is that an oversimplification of what the hell is going on in that movie. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. This is one, I think it came out back in September of, 2021. And that's one that I wanted to get us to talk about ever since. Like, but we just haven't, through the holidays and stuff, we just never really had an opportunity to line it up. So first chance we got, this is it. So we're going to be sitting down and watching Malignant finally, all 4 of us. So come back in 2 weeks for that on episode 91. And then just, since we have that Patreon poll out last month, I will tease that will be the payoff for that. If you voted on the poll, will be on the January 31st episode 93. We'll reveal what won before that. But right now we're not going to reveal that just yet. When we get a little bit closer, we'll let you know which one won. But this is kind of the official kickoff to Canon Month here on the Spook Show. Throughout the month of January, we're dipping in and out of Canon films, and we'll be talking about the history of the Canon group and everything here in the next few weeks. So stick with us this month, and then we got a lot of more fun things in store for February and beyond. So I guess that's all that needs to be said about New Year's Evil and canon and everything for now. So come back next week for Spook Show Rewind Reanimator. So for Donnie and Will, Professor Smoke, I'm Josh. We are the All-American Spook Show Horror Podcast, and we'll talk to you next week.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.